Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. I'm still trying to recover from some health issues. It's been on and off, and it's not been very easy. I'm really struggling even now, and I hope God is going to see me through. Now, ladies and gentlemen, after Rigathi Gachagua launched an explosive expose and an onslaught against William Samoei Ruto, the government is still trying to figure out how they can develop a counter narrative because Rigathi Gachagua literally left William Ruto naked. And as we've seen, he waited for William Ruto to complete his circle. William Ruto went there with a lot of what I may call propaganda about Rigathi Gachagua and what happened before Rigathi was impeached. But Rigathi never wanted to rush, so he gave William Ruto time. And when he came, he was really prepared. And you all know that the government has got this penchant of creating a counter narrative whenever they are caught red-handed with their hands in the cookie jar. A good example is when the former Attorney General J.B. Muturi also exposed William Ruto on how William Ruto had instructed him to sign some dubious contract at the airport without following the law, when everything had been done by the junior officers. And so when Muturi refused, those must have been the very foundation why they fell out. But the government, and of course the broad-based government, I remember, Junaid Mohammed wanted to create something to counter what Muturi had said, and he was saying that they are going to question how the construction of Bunge Towers, the cost had been inflated, and they wanted that to counter what JB Muturi had said. But of course, Kenyans never bought that. But for Rigathi Gachagua, they have looked for just something to counter what Rigathi said, and they can't get. Because the very obvious usual suspect that are always in the president worship team, people like Duale, Kimani Ichungwah, even Kithure Kindiki that joined them, have remained tight-lipped on this issue because it is hot potato. And I understand that there are people who have been instructed to try and counterattack Rigathi Gachagua, but they fear the backlash and the wrath of Kenyans. Even those who usually tweet are mum. And the only counter-narrative that I've heard them talk about, if you look and read at the bloggers that support the Kenya Kwanza team, is that why is Rigathi Gachagua coming now? That is the question they are asking. No one is trying to interrogate whatever Rigathi Gachagua said, whether it is true or not. And I think it is because Rigathi told them blatantly that I've got evidence. I was recording the president. So many people fear, because when you try getting into what you don't understand, you will remain, or you'll be seen as a fool when finally the truth comes out. I have tried to check on those choir masters, those who usually praise William Ruto and attack Rigathi. No one is talking. But I bumped into Kimani Ichungwah's speech. And Kimani Ichungwah must have been instructed to try and attack Rigathi. But he avoided the very thorny issues that Rigathi talked about. He never talked about Hemedi and the Sudan issue because, as we speak, William Ruto has been exposed at the international community level when Rigathi said that he's the chief sponsor of the war and controversy that is going on in Sudan. So Kimani Ichungwah never talked about it. Kimani Ichungwah never talked about the fertilizer issue because he knows very well it is the truth. So what Kimani Ichungwah did, because I know he must have been sent by William Ruto, and he never wanted to disappoint his boss. So he decided to ignore all those. Instead, he was saying that Rigathi Gachagua cannot force the people of Mount Kenya to vote in a particular manner. And he was calling it a will, that Rigathi cannot write a will to the people of Mount Kenya that he should vote in this one and kick out this one. And Kimani Ichungwah was saying that Rigathi cannot purport to be the kingpin, to be the person at the steering wheel trying to dictate who to vote for. And I want you to listen to Kimani Ichungwah because he is ignoring the very thorny issues that they really need to interrogate.
I want to take this opportunity to welcome these visitors to the house and the people of Tharaka Nithi, or otherwise known as the Stronghold, are very good people. I was in Chogoria last week accompanying the president on the tour of the mountain, and the people of the Tharaka Nithi and Chogoria can tell you that indeed the mountain is intact. Those people who claimed to have written a will on behalf of the people of Mount Kenya, even the visitors here today will tell you that they have the capacity to make decisions on who to vote for, including their member of parliament and other leaders, without having to look at wills written by individuals. And indeed, when we went to Chogoria, the people of Chogoria told us last week that if anybody wants to do a will, you do a will for your wife, your two boys, and any other any others that you may have out there, but not for the people of Kenya, the people of Chogoria, or the people of Mount Kenya. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Now, I want to agree with the Kenyans who are asking, why now? They are asking, why is Rigathi Gachagua coming now? But let me tell you, better late than never. And the Kenyans don't care. And I know many of the proponents and the supporters of William Ruto are saying that, Rigathi is bitter, that he was impeached and all that. That is not the question now. The question is, yes, he could be bitter, but is he saying the truth? And let me tell you this. One day, the former president of South Africa, during the struggle for independence and apartheid, was being questioned. It was an interview, I think, in the USA. That was the CNN or something. And it was being questioned why South Africa had close ties with Afghanistan and Cuba. Those countries were considered to be under communism. And you know that communism and capitalism don't get along. And Nelson Mandela said something that caught my attention, that one of the biggest mistakes that people do is that they want our enemies to be their enemies. And he told them very clearly that South Africa will relate to other countries based on the support that they get from those countries. Not because some Western machinations want to dictate how they relate. And he told them that as they were struggling for independence, those countries that were being mentioned were supporting them not by words only, but they had placed resources at their disposal, and that is why they were relating well to those countries, despite the fact that they're being seen as communist countries. And that's what Kenyans are telling the Kenya Kwanza today. The Kenya Kwanza team and those who are supporting William Ruto are asking, why are you supporting Rigathi Gachagua now when he had declared Kenya as a shareholding company? Why are you supporting him? And people are saying, yes, back then he was our enemy maybe, but right now we are relating to Rigathi Gachagua based on the evidence that is giving us and exposing William Samoei Ruto. We do not want to think of the past. Just the same way we condemned him when he was talking about the shareholding thing, we now love him because he's exposing and saying the truth. That is what Kenyans are saying. But I want us to get to Kimani Ichungwah's statement, because number one, those statements are coming out of fear. Kimani Ichungwah is saying that Rigathi Gachagua cannot write a will for them. But the truth is, as we approach 2027, there are certain leaders who have been allowed by the people to become opinion shapers. They do not expose themselves, but people accept them. That is what happens. For you to become maybe a kingpin, people must accept you. You've seen when leaders are struggling for their space. Even in Nyanza, you saw people like Orengo, Nyong'o, even Tuju trying to wrestle power with Raila. But the people decided it was Raila. In the Rift, William Ruto has been accepted as the kingpin. In Western, we have a kingpin. All those. In the mountain today, Rigathi Gachagua has been accepted. It is the people that accept you to speak on their behalf. And to a larger extent, Rigathi has been accepted to lead them. And leading the people does not mean that you are now wiser than them or bigger. No, you are one among the equals, but they have accepted and given you the mandate that you should now lead us. So even as we move towards 2027, Kimani Ichungwah and the group understand very well that Rigathi will show them the way based on their experience in the past and where they want to go in the future. Rigathi will show the way. And the truth is, Kimani Ichungwah and the group will not live to see parliament again. They will be voted out completely. Anyone who supported the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua signed his or her political obituary. And that is why I'm saying that the statements are taken out of fear. He was speaking knowing very well. It is like he's predicting his future. He's been making a lot of noise outside Mount Kenya. And when he stepped into the soil of Mount Kenya during the Ruto tour, you saw how he was heckled. And that is the true feeling of the people of Mount Kenya. So ladies and gentlemen, Kimani Ichungwah ignored the issues that Rigathi Gachagua talked about. In fact, Rigathi never said that, I will force people to vote in a certain manner. He accused William Ruto painting a picture on how State House has become a crime scene. And many Kenyans are still shocked that there are very many things that we may not even know. This government is corrupt to the core. That is what Rigathi said. But why would Kimani Ichungwah ignore those very issues that he needed to interrogate and tell us this is wrong? This is. In fact, I've never seen or heard any of the government officials telling Rigathi Gachagua produce the evidence. No, because they know Rigiji very well. He has it. You can't dare him. In this video, ladies and gentlemen, I want us to try and look at why is Kimani Ichungwah and the group afraid of attacking Rigathi Gachagua? Why aren't they telling him produce the evidence? Why aren't they creating another counter-narrative against Rigathi Gachagua? Kindly subscribe to our channel if you're watching for the first time. Click the notification bell. Please don't forget to like and share this video. And I want to thank you for your continued support. I have a feeling that one of the reasons why Kimani Ichungwah and the group are afraid of attacking Rigathi is because when Rigathi launched that expose on KTN, he never attacked any of the leaders, especially from Mount Kenya. He never once dragged the name of maybe Kithure Kindiki and Kimani. No. He concentrated on William Ruto, one by one, exposing and telling people with evidence. And so, if Kimani Ichungwah or any other leader would start attacking him on the basis of saying William Ruto is corrupt, he did this, he invited Hemedi, they will look very cheap and petty. Because Rigathi had an opportunity of attacking them in the interview, but he never did. He ignored them and decided to concentrate on William Ruto. So if they would come and start attacking, then they would be, I think if you ask me, politically they would really lose because people would be seeing them as people are not serious. Why attack someone who never called your name? For example, why would Kimani Ichungwah start questioning the deals? For example, if he says William Ruto told him to invite Hemedi, Kimani was not there. So if you start attacking him, you look someone who's just petty. And I think that's the reason why they fear getting into this. This is hot potato. In fact, when he mentioned any name from Mount Kenya, he protected them and alleged that William Ruto wanted to misuse them. Take, for example, the issue of Metika Linturi.
2013 to 2016, Felix Kosgei, the head of public service, was the Minister for Agriculture. So when Mithika Linturi was appointed Minister of Agriculture. The president and Felix Kosgei were running the ministry. Mithika Linturi was just a flower girl in the ministry. And I can tell you, they wanted to fix him about fertilizer. All fertilizer is procured at State House. Yeah? The president determines to buy from who, at how much. It is the president who does that with Felix Kosgei. So when they were trying to fix Linturi, when they brought bad fertilizer, President William Ruto ordered Linturi to allow the fertilizers to come in and forget about it. Then they wanted to arrest Linturi and take him to court for this fertilizer this year. And I told the president, you cannot do that. You know, Mithika Linturi is innocent. It is yourself and Felix Kosgei who are buying fertilizer in State House.
The other thing why it is becoming very difficult for Ruto allies to come and attack Rigathi is because Rigathi has mentioned that all these corrupt deals are being executed and they are only benefiting one person, William Ruto, and maybe a clique within the government. So all the others who are being instructed are only instructed to cover up the footprints of these conduits of corruption. So they just feel awkward that you could be instructed to start attacking Rigathi Gachagua about the fertilizer, about attracting Hemedi and the business that is going on between William Ruto and the part of the Sudanese government, and yet you are not going to benefit. You are only being used, and people will be looking at you as another fool who is getting into the trap after Rigathi Gachagua and the former AG Muturi said that I was being instructed to sign a contract at the airport after junior officers had done the work. So you would also look like you are not part of the money, you're not part of the deal, but now you are being instructed to go and attack Rigathi Gachagua on a matter that has become very volatile, and Kenyans are really looking at it very keenly. It has attracted a lot of undertones. So when you are told to go and attack Rigathi Gachagua, then you look like a fool because you are attacking Rigathi, you are not part of the deal, hakuna kitu umepewa, wamekula peke yao, because that is what is coming out, and they fear getting into that trap. Now Mount Kenya is also very volatile. You saw how Kimani Ichungwah was heckled. They don't want to aggravate matters because if you are coming from Mount Kenya immediately after the Ruto tour and you saw the message, the symptoms and the signs that you are not going to be re-elected. Now, Mount Kenya will soon turn and look at Mlima mwenyewe. Mutahi Kwenye once said that you can only rent a Kikuyu, but you cannot buy a Kikuyu. So soon Ruto will realize that he never bought them, he rented them, and the lease period is over. People like Kimani Ichungwah are afraid that the more they get into Ruto's trap, the more they become like political outcasts from Mount Kenya. And so they want to tone down. They don't want to attract more wrath from the people. And that happens to even all the other maybe CSS and those who would want to please William Ruto. They're afraid because the country is volatile. As we are head to 2027, things might not be very easy. They are not even sure that William Ruto is going to be re-elected. So if you make a lot of noise thinking that you are with William Ruto, after 2027 it could be very bad. Or you can easily be sacrificed because politics is very funny. Today you are friends, and if they can decide that you are the sacrificial lamb to cleanse the situation. So it is not very easy for them. And I know they fear the wrath of Kenyans. So we are still waiting for anyone who will come out and attack Rigathi Gachagua. We are waiting for anyone who will start questioning the meeting between Rigathi and William Ruto, where he was instructed to invite Hemedi. And you know, things like fertilizer that he talked about can easily be corroborated. Raila talked about it. It is in the public domain. They don't want a situation where even the EACC would be questioned to go back and start, interrogating some of these officials. So they have decided, let the sleeping dog lie. They're afraid. And Kimani Ichungwah basically defied William Ruto because William Ruto expected him to start questioning what he talked about. Instead, aliepa. Anaanza kuuliza mambo ya hautatuambia nani anapiga kura. I don't know what you think.